So, this video is a little aside of what I normally do. I usually keep my thoughts about other KTubers videos that I strongly disagree with to myself or my best friends. However, I felt the need to speak on this one because the lack of nuance when it comes to this topic is genuinely frustrating. And Blinks aren't exactly responding to that video maturely, so I felt maybe I should do that instead. As a K-pop community, I believe we need to start growing up, you guys. We cannot still be bringing intelligent, efficient arguments and making content that makes little to no sense when discussing intense topics such as these. At some degree, we have to show that we're capable of scholarly thinking and that we understand how the industry works and conducts itself when we choose to critique it. I believe that when one decides to handle topics such as these, there are three things they must be able to do. Number one, ask the right questions. Being inquisitive is not just about asking whatever comes to your mind. No, it's about being intellectually curious about a subject, having the thirst for understanding of that subject, and doing the proper and necessary research to gain the answers you're looking for. Failing to do so leads to loose arguments on the table. For instance, this video that I'm critiquing today literally made a bold claim that states, basically girl crush concepts imply that only tough girls can be strong. First of all, the girl crush concept doesn't imply that hyperfemininity is weak unless the lyrics of a particular song themselves attack hyperfemininity. I'll expound on that later, but it's how the audience chooses to interpret the message of what girl crush is about. It's like if someone claims that they like pancakes and your response is, well, what's wrong with waffles? They never said that they hated waffles or that anything was wrong with them, just that they like pancakes. They didn't even compare the two, but you took that statement in offense and decided that it deserved a counter argument. Secondly, correct me if I'm wrong, but if my dictionary serves me well, the word tough literally means being strong. So going by this statement, yes, only tough girls can be strong. I am going to assume the argument she was trying to make was that having a badass persona in women is what is seen as strong as opposed to hyperfemininity. But even then, the point still falls apart because the reason why people view things in that manner has nothing to do with the girl crush concept. The girl crush concept was never created to squash hyperfemininity. This is a deeper issue within progressive society as a whole, which this KTuber would know if she bothered to do the proper research of her work before publishing it for the world to see. Note I say proper research because in the pinned comment, the creator claims that she did a thesis on a similar topic about female representation in media. Therefore, we shouldn't tell her that she doesn't know what she's talking about. And while I'm just an undergrad with little to no experience about writing a thesis, my mother's currently doing one right now, and I get to witness firsthand all the time, work, energy, research, and intellectual effort that goes into writing, producing, and preparing to defend a thesis. So forgive me if I genuinely have a hard time believing that someone who produced a thesis on such a topic put together a 28-minute video this flimsy in nature. Usually after 3 minutes of watching content like this, I just click off and move on with my life. But I was intrigued with the comments because the number of people praising this essay kind of took me back by surprise. Of course, I expected Blinks to be mad and childish and to insult the creator in the comments. I can't say that I'm surprised by that behavior. But the number of people claiming that this was a well thought out and thoroughly researched essay, with some going as far as saying that it was one of the best KTube videos they'd watched in a while, made me wonder, what kind of videos are you people watching? Like, seriously. Sonia Stan's video titled The Flawed Feminism of Blackpink has been circling a little around the KTube sphere, with either people hyping it up as the second coming or people attacking the creator and her voice and so on. I'm not interested in attacking her voice like other Blinks have been doing in the comments, but what I want is to focus on how ironically flawed this video is in bringing relevant points into a deep conversation. From the constant reaching in trying to prove a point to the amount of bias and ego that went into writing this essay instead of nuance and genuine criticism in terms of the issue around Blackpink and their alleged feminist image. This video essay was practically struggling to make a relevant point for 28 minutes straight. The second, and to me the most crucial step in conducting a video essay on such deep topics, is questioning your own train of thought. I know from experience that that is not easy, and I'm always willing to give grace to people who struggle with it, but I bring it up because it helps you strengthen your arguments, whether you're debating with somebody or you're just writing a video essay. But best of all, it helps deal with your biases and ego. Bias and ego can get in the way of any so-called research topic, and it shows in either A, cherry-picking your research, B, not having real evidence to back up your claims, and C, especially only tackling the weakest arguments of a particular topic. For instance, this video cites only one article that discusses the topic of Blackpink and feminism, and I doubt an article that quotes Irene of Red Velvet as the leader of Blackpink should even be considered to be cited for criticism on a quote-unquote researched video. In fact, there are articles from Billboard, MTV, The News International, and others exploring the topic of Blackpink and feminism in their music and lyrics, with people who can actually string sentences together, but saying that none of these credible sources were tackled in her so-called research is very telling. She calls herself a nerd in this video, only to turn around a few minutes later and pick the weakest article she can find to pull a "see, I'm right" card. The article itself defined the word woman poorly, referred to Blackpink's independence image as catering to Chinese women, called Rosé the fifth member of Black Swan and the first Indian K-pop artist ever, and claimed Jisoo's dancing skills are what make her impressive. Literally said nothing about her voice or visuals, which is what she's most known for, and even went as far as to say that the girl crush concept is becoming popular in K-pop, which is strongly inaccurate because in the last year alone, fans have done nothing but complain about how tired they are of the girl crush concept. If you study most girl groups right now, they're basically following the Y2K trend being spearheaded by New Jeans, and most popular K-pop songs this year do not have a girl crush concept at all. Being scholarly means that you find articles with real points that contribute to the discussion, and then building real counter arguments to present your opinions. But instead, this weak article was her choice. Thirdly, the writer of a video essay must be able to understand context. When writing a video essay that discusses literature especially, whether it's a song, a movie, or any other form, you need to understand that interpretation will vary from listener to listener. And it is because of that that you must make sure you give full context of the piece of literature first, and not just choose what caters to your point alone for your benefit, as that is basically manipulating your audience. In this video, Sun Stan manipulates her audience into believing that Blackpink's music pushes misogynistic agendas by misrepresenting their lyrics. She does this first with their B-side, Really, and when cherry-picked without context, those lyrics do sound misogynistic. But if you read their entirety, you come to realize that they actually have nothing to do with it. In this song, Blackpink continues their theme of falling in love in their music, and this time their characters are involved in a toxic relationship with a hypothetical man who's struggling with commitment. One of the characteristics of this hypothetical man is that he keeps wandering around and seems to be looking for other women, which obviously makes them insecure. This is clarified by the lyrics right above the ones she quoted in her video, where Jisoo says, and I quote, "Say that when you see the other girls, you don't care at all. Sometimes I want to hear these white lies." Insecurities are normal in relationships, whether the relationship is healthy or toxic, and feeling inadequate and comparing yourself to others happens even to the best of us. Being in a relationship with someone who seems allergic to the idea of commitment and seems to be looking around for the next best thing inevitably brings one into this downward spiral of comparing themselves to the people their partner is looking at or lusting after, and it is not misogynistic to point that out. People who've been in relationships with partners like this often claim that several times they found themselves asking, what is it that they have that I don't? And by they, I mean the people that their partner is lusting after. And this is simply the stage in which Blackpink characters are when they sing these lyrics. In context to what Jisoo says, Jennie adding that other women around him have nothing to offer him is not misogynistic. It's her way of claiming that there's no point in continuing the cycle of him wandering around when he always ends up coming back to her anyway, because clearly these women that he keeps turning to don't have what he thinks he's looking for. She's describing a toxic repetition that keeps happening in this relationship. The cherry picking of these lyrics to prove a point is definitely a reach on this K-tuber's part. In critiquing Blackpink's cover of So Hot, she points out these lyrics. Yes, it is true that there has been a push, especially through media, to exaggerate the idea that women are constantly jealous of and in competition with one another, and they literally don't have anything else to do besides that. But in an effort to fight this agenda, society has gone as far as to pretend that competition and jealousy amongst women literally doesn't exist, which is not real life. There are women, and yes, plenty of them, who get jealous of others' success, and denying that fact doesn't turn it into a lie. 5 plus 5 will always be equals to 10, even if the world wakes up tomorrow and decides that the answer is 6. We actually also see this with successful women in K-pop such as Wasa, Wonyoung, and Lisa, who are attacked daily by other women on social media spaces simply because they're jealous of the attention that they receive from male idols. Being offended that the lyrics in So Hot point this out because she chose to interpret them as claiming that every single woman on the planet is jealous of them is childish in my opinion. These lyrics claim that the girls who are jealous because they are getting male attention, which is a fact. More than anything, most women want to be desired and seen, and heterosexual women want that attention from the opposite sex. The opposite sex doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner. It could be a father, an uncle, any male figure that they look up to. And for the toxic ones, seeing other women get what they want does make them feel jealous. This is a reality in this world. Yes, as women, it is important that we do not value ourselves based on the attention we get from men or any other gender we're attracted to, nor should we feel the need to act upon jealousy when we feel it. But just because that is what we wish for all women to be like as a whole, doesn't mean that is what is happening in real life. I don't believe in denying reality in the name of progress. In fact, it's the opposite. To make progress, we need to acknowledge reality. This also ties in the lyrics that Blackpink added to the cover. If Blackpink saying we're the only gang to run it in heels in reference to achieving what other girl groups haven't and setting trends makes other women feel erased in some way, as this creator claimed in her video, honestly, they need to touch some grass. When you quote unquote run the game, you're the one who's setting the trends. You're the one who's breaking the records, and you're the one achieving so many firsts. How many times have we seen Blackpink and the phrases only girl group to or first girl group to ever blank in their almost decade-long history? Pointing that out in their music is not misogynistic, and that was all these lyrics were doing. Another set of lyrics misrepresented were from the B-side Kick It. Again, continuing with the theme of relationships, in this case, Blackpink are walking away from a relationship and letting the hypothetical man that they are with know that they are capable of standing on their own and that they will get over him. We see this in the chorus where they say, and I quote, "I have nothing to lose. I'm going to find myself. I'm okay with being alone. Don't feel bad for me. I am going to forget you now." The line Sonia Stan uses to claim are misogyny, or at least pushing the agenda of misogyny, when never discussing all women. They are literally speaking about the type of girls this hypothetical man is used to dating. Hence the quote, "the same girls that you've had, not the same girls that are in the rest of the world." They describe these women as the type of people who stick with him no matter what he does, even if he's toxic. Blackpink in these lyrics saying that they do what they want basically alludes to the fact that the girls he's dated in the past only ever did what he wanted. Choosing yourself over a toxic man in comparison to what his exes have done is not misogyny. These lyrics were cherry-picked to prove a point that is literally non-existent. Pretty Savage is not just a song targeted to haters, but meant to paint the girls as more than just one-dimensional. It is the most Blackpink song in the sense of the meaning of their group name. Yes, they have a pink side, which is their pretty and sweet side, but when you mess with them, they reveal their black side, their savage and stronger side. Once again, kind of proving that girls can be both. The lyrics in which Jisoo says, "I wore something similar to you, but it looks better on me." Sonia Stan translate that as Blackpink writers encouraging the vile behavior of Blinks, viciously hating on other idols who either look like the members of Blackpink, have worn outfits or had similar hairstyles as them, or have done something that the girls have done in the past. If that is how we choose to translate lyrics in music, then we should apply this to every group, including the 7 men on her YouTube profile picture. Plenty of idols, male and female, have made songs addressed to their haters, claiming to be doing everything better than them, and that music is seen as empowering. So why can't Blackpink stand up to their haters in the same manner? Blink's harassing other idols for doing things similar to Blackpink has nothing to do with these lyrics. Toxic Blink behave this way because of an unhealthy relationship that they have with the idea of Blackpink that is built upon plenty of factors, and the biggest one being the fact that Blackpink has accumulated a lot of hate over the years, and Blinks feel the need to protect them since YG will not even put the bare minimum effort to protect them themselves. And as for Jennie's shutdown rap, for the millionth time, it is not addressed to all women. This is for those who are imitating her persona and style, which is nothing new to the industry. Plenty of new artists since the dawn of entertainment have tried to imitate other successful artists in the industry in order to gain success. Look at female rappers in Hollywood, for example. Either most of them are or have tried in the past to imitate Nicki Minaj, with others even going as far as plagiarizing her lyrics. Nicki Minaj has called them out too in her music, and it's not seen as misogynistic. It's simply acknowledging that she notices it. Jennie's basically saying, hey, I get it, and if I was someone else, I would want to be me too.
If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too.
Blinks use these lyrics to hate on idols that obviously can never be justified, but that doesn't erase the facts. Other artists want to be like Blackpink, or at least want to emulate their success, and these girls know that, and they see it. And that's all there is to those lyrics. Sonia Stan's desperate attempts to attach them to misogyny is just sad at this point. I honestly could go on forever discrediting the rest of the lyrics used in that video, but I would probably sound like a broken record at this point. The storyline is the same. Blackpink's lyrics are not being misogynistic if you read all the lyrics to the song. The difference for me is probably Type of Girl, which I clearly remember referring to as pick me music in one of my live streams, but that's just about it. Sonia Stan's cherry picking of lyrics and manipulating their context in order to prove her argument about Blackpink catering to men and misogyny in their music was so unscholarly. Her point is like carrying water in a vessel filled with holes, and this is the perfect example of how to not form an opinion, especially one that you plan on putting in a video essay. But because she's already manipulated her audience with limited context at this point, everything else she says in the video will be seen as well thought out, even when it isn't. It seems to me from the making of this video that Sonia Stan does not understand the difference between active company marketing strategy and fans' interpretation of a group's image. She claims that Blackpink can sing whatever they want and that they are not obligated to make music catering to feminists, but they apparently should not get away with marketing themselves as a female empowerment group. Just one problem. There is no proof that this is how Blackpink is being marketed. In that entire video, no credible sources are quoted or cited claiming that Blackpink are being marketed as such. I'd argue that they are being marketed as influencers of the industry before the word feminism even comes to mind. Noting business moves and strategies such as YG spacing their comebacks with such large gaps, associating the girls with high fashion brands, and breaking them out of the K-pop sphere into mainstream Hollywood, these marketing strategies can never be seen as presenting a group of feminists. The definition of a marketing strategy is a plan of action designed to promote a product, and YG's marketing team strategy is marketing them as the standard for K-pop groups dominating in fashion, music, and influence, not being feminist. The female empowerment interpretation stems from fans and some of the music critics who've discussed their lyrics and their music. To make this video essay coherent, she should have stuck to critiquing the fans' point of view of Blackpink as a quote-unquote female empowerment group and not needing a man even though their music has been entirely written by men. That would have helped make her argument solid. Instead, she resulted into making bold statements that they are being marketed as feminists with no examples, no discussions of YG's marketing tactics used for the group over the years, and no sources even claiming that this is how YG is actively trying to market them as such. This makes every argument she makes after this segment of this video irrelevant to the discussion, starting with the criticism of Jennie joining the Idol cast. I've already criticized The Idol as a show in my last video about Jennie, so I cannot say that I disagree with Sonia Stan's views about this show. What I do not agree with, though, is attaching this to Blackpink's alleged feminist image that they are being marketed as, because as we've already established, that is not how they are being marketed in the first place. The reason why I bring this up is that Sonia Stan accuses Blackpink of being wishy-washy with their feminist image and only making choices that serve them, portraying them as disloyal to their so-called branding. However, because it cannot even be proven that is their brand in the first place, they don't owe any loyalty to anything. A genuine example of this would actually be one of Jennie's friends, the Canadian singer Grimes, who marketed herself as an anti-capitalist and all that jazz, only to end up dating and having 2 children with Elon Musk. I already mentioned that I strongly believe that Jennie joined The Idol because she was unbothered by how problematic it is and only wanted to expand her image in the acting world no matter the cost, which I wouldn't justify on an ethical point of view. But painting this business move as some sort of betrayal to Blackpink's non-existent feminist brand was not thought through even in the slightest. The people she describes in her video as disappointed in Jennie for selling a feminist label only to abandon it are foolish to expect better from people they do not know personally enough to be aware about their views on social justice issues. That part is their problem, not Jennie's. Now, I know someone will bring up my Bangchan video, so all I'm gonna say is that if you didn't even bother to listen to that video, don't even try to compare these issues. They are nothing alike. Sonia Stan concludes this video by calling out blinks who have hated on other women in the industry in the name of Blackpink, but then pathetically tries to tie this behavior to Blackpink's apparent mixed messages on feminism. I replayed that part so many times just to make sure my ears weren't being clogged with bullshit. That last segment should have stuck to calling out Blink's double standards for claiming claiming to be for feminism while hating on women for no reason. Instead, she tried to attach this to Blackpink's so-called branding as if it is to blame for this. Misogynistic behaviors are not translated by marketing strategies of K-pop groups, okay? They are learned because of surrounding environments, especially during upbringing. Blinks have homes, families, neighborhoods, schools, friends, and more that may have power to influence their thinking. And assuming that Blackpink's branding is the main and number one reason why they hate on other women without even knowing what individuals' fans' strongest spheres of influence are is unintelligent on so many levels. Some Blinks are incredibly young, meaning that they have not developed the critical thinking skills that they need to navigate their behavior online. They care little about the consequences of their actions. And I'm not saying that we should excuse it because of their age. By all means, call them out. Just don't try to pin their thought processes on Blackpink's non-existent feminist marketing. Overall, Sonia Stan's video is flimsy, irresponsible, and genuinely lazy. This video cherry-picked lyrics to prove a point without clearing context, failed to back up its arguments with facts on the ground, and flat out tried to make connections that are non-existent. The so-called research that went into this video was weak, and this shows in the several unintelligent arguments and reaches made throughout this video to prove a point. It was unwise to make a video like this without thinking through her talking points, and people agreeing with her in that comment section hardly had any points worth considering as well. Feels like critical thinking skills are lacking in general. I do suggest watching the video on your own first and then coming to your own conclusions, as these are mine. I believe a lot of people just took Blinks being offended by this video as just typical Blink behavior and didn't take it seriously, which I get, but genuinely watching this video more than once, I actually felt annoyed, not on behalf of Blackpink, but because of the irresponsible way this topic was handled, especially by someone who portrays themselves to be an individual who truly cares about this topic.